Well, Indians who visited a newsstand today may have seen the headline, "Why the Aussies Hate Us." The target audience was the millions of people who subscribe directly to the Indian magazine Outlook or read it online. Its 10-page story covered the recent violence against Indians in Australia and in particular the fear that many young Indians feel on the streets of Melbourne. The story quoted the anti-immigration parties Australia First and One Nation, among others, and the Outlook website carried the headline, "Anatomy of Hate." Joining us now from New Delhi is Vinod Mehta, Editor-in-Chief of Outlook magazine. Thank you for your time, sir. Can I ask, do Indians really believe that Australians hate them?
I think, if you're robbed and beaten, robbed, sometimes killed, and called a bloody Indian, and if incidents go up by about 700-800%, then I think the perception here is that it is a racist thing. You see, there's a problem here. Indians can understand that Australians are very sensitive about accusations of racism. That is your problem, how you want to define it. But I must tell you how it is seen here. It is seen here as repressed racism, but certainly with tinges of racism. Now, our concern is not with definitions, is not saying that Australia is a racist nation. Because, people-to-people contacts between Australia and India have been extremely good. There is no joy in India in accusing Australians. Your cricketers, Mr. Bretley, spends more time in India than he spends in Australia. Steve Waugh runs a charity. So there's a lot of goodwill for Australians. So it's with deep regret that we talk about these incidents, and it's with deep regret that we accuse the Australians of being racist. But we are not, call them what you will, but the incidents must stop. Your definition is your problem. Definition is not our problem. The incidents must stop, and there has been 135 incidents over the last 12 months, and previously there were about 12 or 15. So you draw your own conclusions.
I can see that your earpiece has come out. I'll just give you a second to put that back in. You spoke about repressed racism. Why do you think that Indians are the target? Good
question. You tell me. You tell me.
Well, you've had reporters here. I'm just asking on your theory about that and what they uncovered in their reporting about why Indians were the target.
Well, you see, Australia and Australian governments have been in denial. I mean, we've been caught up in this great debate about whether they're racist or not. In the meantime, whoever these people are, Indian students are being attacked, Indian citizens are being attacked. Indian citizens say they are scared to go out at night. They say they are scared to take taxis. They say they are scared to take public transport. An Indian woman said that when she goes to a pub, she's afraid to go out for a smoke. A guy who's walking on the road with his dog is called all kinds of names. So, I mean, all this is reported in India. Now, Australians are saying that these are opportunistic crimes. These are not racist crimes. Well, in your own country, I believe, there are many people who say that these are not simply opportunistic crimes, and you should recognize that there are racist crimes. But again, I repeat to you that it's not so important how we define them, and we shouldn't get into this squabble about whether Australia is racist or not. I think the Australian authorities need to get something done. I understand that these attacks are in Melbourne. I understand that these attacks are in a very small part of Melbourne. I am amazed and surprised that the Australian government and the Australian police can't stop these attacks, or unless, of course, there is a political agenda here behind letting these attacks go on.
So do you think there is a widespread view in India that Australia is a racist nation? Is that what you're saying?
I am not saying that. I am saying that overwhelmingly these particular attacks are seen as racist attacks. And, when somebody attacks you and beats you and robs you and says Indians go home, what do you expect us to conclude?
Well, you
have a problem. You have a problem with racism, which we understand, which all of us understand and are sympathetic to, that we don't want to be called racist. Who wants to be called racist? But at the end of the day, we just sent 2 reporters to Australia who have come back. and said that the students who are on the receiving end and the citizens who are on the receiving end say the crimes are racist. We are just reporting what we have been told by Indians in Australia.
But they also reported that there were Indians living in Australia who did not believe that racism motivated the attack. They spoke to some young Indians who said that in some cases it was just bad luck.
Oh, of course, it's a very complex problem. I'm not trying to simplify the problem. There are cultural insensitivities on the Indian side. Maybe sometimes they talk too loudly in buses. You don't like the way they use their iPods. Some people say that an Indian and an ATM is the same thing. If you shake him, you'll get money. So Indians walk around with a lot of cash in their pockets. All that is there. But surely that cannot be a justification for 135 attacks, up from 15. That cannot be a justification for the fact that, well, and what annoys people in India a great deal is the Australian government saying that the Indian media is being hysterical, that we are hyping up these attacks, and that they are just sort of routine attacks, and don't worry, they'll go away. Well, that's not true. That's not how they're seen here. And I might tell you there's outrage in this country which is affecting people-to-people relations which have been very good between India and Australia.
Well, what
more this is impacting on bilateral relations.
Well, I'm sorry, we've got a delay, so it's slightly awkward when I try to ask you a question. Can I ask, what more would you like to see the Australian government doing? Because we heard our Finance Minister, Lindsay Tanner, say earlier that the government has been bending over backwards to try to deal with this problem.
Well, I don't know, you see. I'm sitting in Delhi, you are sitting in Australia. You're in Melbourne, you're at the scene of the crime. Surely the Australian police or the Victorian police should be able to put a curb on these attacks. Are Australians happy that a good day for Indians in Australia is when there's no attack? Otherwise, attack takes place every day. So are Australians happy that they have got this kind of image? Are your politicians happy when you're attacked from India on charges of racism? So I think the wake-up call is for Australians and not for India. I don't have any recipes of how you can solve this problem, but it's the Victorian police and law and order authorities who must get a hold on this. After all, this is being done in Melbourne. This is being done in, you say, very depressed parts of Melbourne, which are 2-3 small areas. Surely you should be able to police those more effectively. If there is the political will to do that, I must raise that question mark.
We are about to lose our satellite, so we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time.